Welcome to Hurricane and Storm Center. In tonight's national weather briefing, we will bring you the latest conditions and forecast for the waters and coastal areas of the United States tonight, Saturday, August 15th, and tomorrow, Sunday, August 16th, 2026. We will also examine the most important weather threats across the country and assess the potential for new tropical cyclones to develop near the United States during the next 7 to 10 days. Looking at the current situation, weather conditions across the United States remain highly variable. The most significant threat is across Hawaii, where Tropical Storm Lala is approaching the islands and could bring strong winds, torrential rainfall, dangerous surf, and hazardous marine conditions. Across the mainland, a very warm and humid air mass continues to dominate much of the south and east, supporting widespread thunderstorms and locally heavy rainfall. The Ohio Valley is also a major concern, where repeated thunderstorms could move across areas that have already received substantial rainfall, increasing the potential for flash flooding. Across Hawaii, Tropical Storm Lala remains the most important tropical system affecting U.S. territory. Lala is moving generally west-northwest toward the Hawaiian Islands. Hurricane and tropical storm warnings remain in effect across portions of the island chain. The effects of Lala will extend well beyond the center of circulation, with strong winds, heavy rain, high surf, and dangerous marine conditions possible across a broad area. Tonight, winds will continue to strengthen across the Big Island and Maui, with worsening conditions potentially spreading toward Oahu and Kauai. Heavy rainfall will also be a major concern, particularly across mountainous and windward areas, where persistent tropical rain bands could produce rapid rises in streams and dangerous flash flooding. Offshore, conditions will become increasingly hazardous as strong winds combined with large waves, thunderstorms, and reduced visibility. Small craft and recreational vessels should remain in port across areas affected by Lala. Turning to the Atlantic, there is currently no new tropical cyclone posing an imminent direct threat to the continental United States during the next 24 hours. However, tropical waves and areas of disturbed weather continue to be monitored across the tropical Atlantic. This is an important period of the hurricane season because tropical activity typically begins to increase significantly during August. Over the coming days, these disturbances could encounter changing atmospheric conditions, including warm ocean temperatures, abundant tropical moisture, and varying levels of wind shear. At this time, there is not enough confidence to identify a specific system that will become a hurricane, but increasing tropical activity remains possible. Across the Caribbean and the Gulf of America, tropical moisture will continue to fuel scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight and Sunday. Florida, the Gulf Coast, and portions of the Southeast could experience locally heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, and strong wind gusts. At this time, however, there is no clear indication that a new hurricane will develop and make landfall along the Gulf Coast during the next 24 hours. Across the Northeast, warm and humid conditions will continue tonight. Scattered showers and thunderstorms may develop across upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and northern New England. Some storms could produce strong wind gusts, frequent lightning, and brief periods of heavy rainfall. On Sunday, August 16th, temperatures will remain elevated across much of the region, while additional afternoon and evening thunderstorms could develop as disturbances move across the area. Offshore waters from New England to the Mid-Atlantic should be monitored closely for rapidly developing thunderstorms, sudden wind shifts, and sharply reduced visibility and heavy rain. Across the Southeast, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and the Carolinas will remain under a hot and humid air mass. Scattered thunderstorms will continue tonight, particularly across the Florida Peninsula and along the Gulf Coast. On Sunday, afternoon and evening thunderstorms could become more numerous as abundant tropical moisture remains in place. Some storms may produce torrential rainfall, frequent lightning, and strong wind gusts. Localized flooding is possible, especially in urban areas and locations with poor drainage. High humidity combined with temperatures in the 90s will also produce dangerous heat index values in portions of the region. Across the Midwest, weather conditions will remain active. Tonight, thunderstorms may continue moving across Illinois, Indiana, and the Ohio Valley. The primary concerns will be strong wind gusts, torrential rainfall, and flash flooding. Some areas of the Ohio Valley have already experienced significant rainfall, and additional thunderstorms moving repeatedly across the same locations could produce rapid rises on small streams and rivers. On Sunday, the threat of heavy rainfall could shift toward West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and surrounding areas. Residents near rivers, streams, and low-lying areas should remain alert for rapidly changing conditions and potential flash flood warnings. Across the Great Lakes, Wisconsin, Michigan, and areas surrounding the major lakes could experience scattered thunderstorms tonight. Strong wind gusts, heavy rainfall, and frequent lightning will be the primary hazards. On Sunday, warm and humid conditions will continue to support additional thunderstorm development during the afternoon and evening. Boaters on Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, and Lake Erie should be especially cautious because winds can increase rapidly and change direction when strong thunderstorms move across the lakes. Across the plains and central plains, the weather pattern will continue to feature a combination of extreme heat and thunderstorms. Tonight, storms may develop from eastern Colorado into Nebraska and Kansas. Some storms could become organized and produce damaging wind gusts, hail, and locally heavy rainfall. On Sunday, temperatures across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas remain very high. Several areas could face two hazards at the same time: dangerous heat during the afternoon, followed by strong thunderstorms later in the day. Residents should closely monitor severe weather alerts as storms can develop and intensify quickly. Across the Southwest, hot and mostly dry conditions will continue across the desert areas. Arizona, Nevada, and southeastern California may experience mostly clear skies tonight, but temperatures will remain extremely high on Sunday. Isolated thunderstorms could develop over the higher terrain of Arizona and New Mexico during the afternoon. These storms could produce lightning, brief heavy rainfall, and strong outflow winds. In desert areas, outflow winds from distant thunderstorms can also produce blowing dust and sudden reductions in visibility, creating dangerous travel conditions. Across the Rockies, a mixture of sunshine and isolated mountain thunderstorms will continue. Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana could see additional thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening on Sunday. Some storms may produce hail, strong wind gusts, and locally heavy rainfall. In mountainous terrain, intense rainfall over a short period can rapidly increase runoff and create localized flash flooding. Hikers, campers, and visitors should avoid stream beds, narrow canyons, and low-lying areas when thunderstorms develop nearby. Across the Northwest, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho will generally experience more stable conditions than the central and eastern United States. Mostly sunny and dry weather will dominate, although some inland locations could become quite hot on Sunday. Persistent dry conditions combined with high temperatures will continue to increase wildfire concerns across parts of the interior Northwest. Offshore waters from Washington and Oregon remain relatively quiet from a tropical perspective, with no significant tropical cyclone threat expected during the next 24 hours.
Along the west coast, conditions will continue to vary between the coastline and inland valleys. Coastal California may experience low clouds and fog tonight, while the Central Valley and interior valleys remain hot. Temperatures will remain elevated on Sunday across much of inland California. Offshore waters should generally remain more stable than those around Hawaii, although mariners should continue to watch for coastal winds, marine fog, and sudden reductions in visibility. Across Alaska, weather conditions will remain highly variable. Western and central Alaska could experience scattered showers tonight and Sunday, while southeastern Alaska may see longer periods of dry weather. Across the Gulf of Alaska and Bering Sea, frontal systems and extratropical low-pressure areas will remain the dominant weather features. There is currently no indication of a tropical cyclone directly threatening Alaska during the next 24 hours. And now the most important part of tonight's forecast, Hawaii. Tropical Storm Lala is approaching the Hawaiian Islands and will remain the most significant weather threat to U.S. territory tonight and Sunday. Lala is expected to move near or south of the Big Island before continuing west-northward. Tonight, the Big Island and Maui will experience the earliest and potentially strongest impacts, including strong winds, heavy rainfall, dangerous surf, and hazardous marine conditions. On Sunday, those impacts could spread farther west toward Oahu and Kauai. Heavy rainfall could trigger flash flooding, especially across steep terrain and windward slopes. On the surrounding waters, strong winds, large waves, thunderstorms, and dangerous currents will create extremely hazardous conditions for small vessels. Residents and visitors should follow all official warnings, avoid unnecessary travel, stay away from flooded roads, and remain well clear of beaches and coastal areas experiencing dangerous surf. Looking at the next 24 hours, Hawaii has the highest overall threat level in the United States. Tropical Storm Lala could produce strong winds, torrential rainfall, high surf, dangerous marine conditions, and flash flooding. The second major concern is the Ohio Valley, where repeated thunderstorms could produce significant rainfall and localized flash flooding. The Central Plains will continue to face the threat of severe thunderstorms, strong winds, and hail, while the Southeast remains vulnerable to tropical downpours and dangerous heat. Looking ahead 5 to 7 days, a strong upper-level ridge is expected to remain positioned across the southern United States, supporting a prolonged period of hot weather from the southern plains across the lower Mississippi Valley and into the southeast. Meanwhile, upper-level disturbances and frontal boundaries could generate additional rounds of thunderstorms across the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and East. Another period of locally heavy rainfall may develop across portions of the central and eastern United States during the middle of next week. Across Hawaii, conditions should gradually improve after Lala moves away, with trade winds expected to return. However, some areas could continue to experience showers, runoff, and elevated flood concerns even after the center of the tropical system has departed. Now let's look farther ahead at the potential for new tropical cyclones during the next 7 to 10 days. For the Atlantic Basin, Hurricane and Storm Center currently assesses the potential for additional tropical development as something that must be closely monitored. However, there is not yet enough confidence to say that a specific tropical disturbance will become a hurricane or directly threaten the United States. Several tropical waves can continue moving westward across the Atlantic. If one of these disturbances encounters sufficiently warm ocean water, low vertical wind shear, and abundant moisture, organization could increase. But it is important to emphasize that a tropical disturbance with some development potential does not automatically mean a tropical depression or hurricane will form. The most important factors to monitor during the next 7 to 10 days will be sea surface temperatures, vertical wind shear, moisture in the middle levels of the atmosphere, and the position and strength of the subtropical ridge. If a tropical wave develops a closed circulation and moves into a favorable atmospheric environment, the probability of tropical cyclone formation would increase. At this time, however, there is no sufficiently strong signal to indicate that a new hurricane is definitely targeting the Gulf Coast or East Coast during the next 7 to 10 days. That situation could change as new observations and forecast guidance become available, so continued monitoring will be essential. Across the central and eastern Pacific, tropical activity will also remain under observation. Following the passage of Lala, there is not yet enough confidence to forecast another system directly impacting Hawaii during the same period. Now for our overall threat assessment. Hawaii, very high threat tonight and Sunday due to Tropical Storm Lala, with the primary hazards being strong winds, heavy rainfall, flash flooding, dangerous surf, and hazardous marine conditions. Ohio Valley, high flood threat, particularly where repeated thunderstorms move across areas that have already received substantial rainfall. Central Plains, moderate threat due to the combination of dangerous heat, thunderstorms, strong wind gusts, hail, and locally heavy rainfall. Southeast, moderate threat, primarily due to dangerous heat and frequent tropical thunderstorms. Great Lakes and Northeast, low to moderate threat, mainly from scattered thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, lightning, and localized strong winds. Southwest and the Rockies, low to moderate threat, primarily from extreme heat and isolated mountain thunderstorms. Alaska and the West Coast, low tropical cyclone threat during the next 24 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important message from tonight's Hurricane and Storm Center forecast is that Hawaii faces the most significant weather threat across U.S. territory as Tropical Storm Lala approaches. The waters around the Big Island and Maui will be particularly dangerous tonight and Sunday, while strong winds, heavy rain, and high surf could spread farther across the island chain. Across the mainland United States, residents in the Ohio Valley should remain especially alert for flash flooding. The Central Plains will continue to deal with the combination of severe thunderstorms and dangerous heat, while much of the Southeast remains under a prolonged period of hot and humid weather. As we look toward the next 7 to 10 days, we do not currently have enough evidence to say that another hurricane is definitely headed toward the United States. However, August is a critical period of the Atlantic hurricane season, and changes in wind shear, ocean temperatures, atmospheric moisture, and the position of the subtropical ridge could significantly alter the tropical outlook.
A critical hurricane is approaching. Flooding and tornadoes are devastating. Wildfires are spreading everywhere. We provide fast and accurate updates. Your hurricane